Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Bond. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel and like the content, please do subscribe so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. Plus you'll be joining a pretty awesome community of people. In today's video, I'm going to do a full review of this watch right here. That's the Undone watch's Sahara Tropical Dial watch. It's their newest collection and you've probably seen quite a few different watch reviews pop up about this watch all over the interwebs. This is going to be my take on the watch. If you watched my unboxing video for this timepiece, you know that I was quite impressed with the looks of it. But is it all looks or is it actually a good watch? Well, let's get into it. Here is Tropical Sahara from Undone watches. Let's start this review as always by looking at the basic dimensions. We have a diameter of 41.5 millimeters, including this tachymeter bezel. It's 47.5 millimeters from one lug to another. The lug width is 20 millimeters and the thickness of 12 millimeters, including the domed crystal. So this watch wears like a 41 millimeters. You know, sometimes watches wear either a little bit smaller than their actual size or a little larger than their actual size. This one here wears exactly like a 41 millimeters. So keep that in mind if you are looking to buy one. And of course, I'll do a wrist shot by the end of this video. Let's take a closer look at the case and the finishes. So the case is all stainless steel. There are quite a few different finishes and transitions on the case, which make the watch look a little bit more expensive than it actually is. On the side here, we have this brushed finish, as well as on the side of the lug. On the top of the lug, it's actually polished. So is right under the bezel. Now the bezel, again, transitions. There's a bit of a bevel, and it transitions from being polished to the brushed on the surface where the tachymeter is. It's done really well. On this side here, we have the sign crown by 3 o'clock position with the U for the Undone watches and the two pushers for the chronograph. We'll get the chronograph started in a minute or so. So the case back on mine is obviously stainless steel case back. It's just snap-on. The finish is all polished, and what you could do, you could customize your watch by adding your name or a special message, etc. on the case back. The crystal is a K1 mineral crystal. I couldn't find too much information about it. Apparently it's a fairly hard mineral crystal, so it'd be difficult to scratch, but it is not sapphire. The Tropical line is a new line of watches for Undone. They got famous with their fully customizable chronographs, vintage looking chronographs. I think they called urban vintage. What's different about this watch is actually the dial. So the dial has what's called a tropical finish. Basically, if you look at some of the vintage watches from 1950s, 1960s, they were painted black. They had black dials. Over the years, the sun and the chemical reaction of the paint to the sun has made those dials look similar to this. It gave them a very unique look. It's nicknamed Tropical look, and those watches are extremely expensive. Well, what Undone here did, they tried to replicate that look in a laboratory, and I think they did a pretty good job. The dial does look really good. It has that vintage look to it, but it is still a modern watch, which I do appreciate. We also have all printed dial, so nothing is applied. The indices are painted on. They made to look like old aged radium loom. And the loom is actually pretty good. Let me pop a loom shot on the screen right now. Yeah, the loom is good, but it doesn't hold for too long. Also on the dial here, we have the two sub-dials. On the left, by the 9 o'clock position, we have the minute running track. That's for the chronograph function. And on the right-hand side, by the 3 o'clock position, we have the 24 hours indicator. By the 6 o'clock position, that's the date wheel. And at the bottom here, it says Undone. One thing to note about this dial, you could also print something on the dial by 12 o'clock position if you wanted, like your logo or your name, or again, a special message like Mr. Bond. So the watch came on this distressed, vintage looking leather strap. The leather strap is really good. It has the quick release pins. The quality is very good in my opinion. I wore this watch quite a bit, and you can see that it didn't wear out too much. So let's go over the things that I like about this watch, and then I'm gonna go over the things that I perceive as being negative. First of all, the looks. I think this watch looks impeccable. It's a really, really good looking watch. If you watched my unboxing video for this watch, you know that I was extremely impressed with the looks. I was taken back right away because I haven't seen any pictures of this watch prior to unboxing it, and just opening it up, it was striking. Of course, the design is based quite a bit. It's paying homage to, you can say, to an Omega Speedmaster from 1957. Very similar look to both watches, but it's not a copy, which I do appreciate. I also like the Mecha quartz movement. So it's a Mecha as in mechanical quartz movement. It's basically a quartz movement with a mechanical chronograph module added on. So it is still powered by the battery, but it operates and looks, when it's running, like a mechanical chronograph. Let me get it started. You can see it takes about 5 times per second, so it gives it appearance of a smooth seconds hand, just like a mechanical vintage chronograph would look. And the pushers do feel like mechanical chronograph pushers. It is also a flyback chronograph, so it resets back like a mechanical chronograph. I do appreciate that. Notice there is also no seconds hand for the main watch, which I do like. So when this watch is on the wrist and when the chronograph is not running, there's pretty much no way to tell that this is a quartz movement watch. I think the finishes on the watch are done really well. Whatever Undone was trying to achieve with this watch, I think they did a really good job with it. However, the watch is not perfect. There are a few negatives, or kind of perceived negatives, that I have. First one actually is with the reset. So if I reset it here, you can see that the seconds hand doesn't reset to exactly 0. I mean, right here it's almost 0 like that, but when I reset it, it's just slightly off. Not a huge deal, but it'd be nice for it to reset to exactly 0. Number 2 is actually something that I'd like to see improved, and that's I'd like to see lume on these 2 sub-dial hands. I think in the dark it would make the watch look even cooler, give it a little bit more of distinguishable character. Number 3, the crystal. For $350, you're getting the K1 mineral crystal, and it's not sapphire. I mean, sure, you're not getting sapphire with a lot of watches that you buy for $350, but it would be really nice to see that upgrade. I think the watch would get even more wrist time if it had the sapphire crystal, because then I wouldn't be afraid to scratch the crystal. And my last negative, or perceived negative at least, is the price. So the price of this watch is $350 US. I do have a promo link in the description. There is a promo code, you get 10% off. I don't get any commissions or anything like that. So, you know, if you like the watch, buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. It doesn't make a difference to me. It is a good watch, but $350 with the 10% discount, so it takes it to about, what, $315 US. It's not too bad, but it is still up there, especially since you're not getting a sapphire crystal. Now, the title of this video was why this watch costs $350, and the simple answer for that is, well, because there's not too much competition. There aren't too many watch companies that offer watches like this in this price point. If you think about the micro brands that sell diver watches, just off the top of your head you can probably name at least 5 to 10 of them like that. Now think about the micro brands that offer vintage looking chronographs. Yes, there are some, but there aren't that many. So Undone is one of the few companies that actually offers watches like this, and they executed the watch really well. If you like the watch, if you like the design, the quality is there, well, $350 doesn't seem like that much. And finally, here's what the watch looks like on my 7¼ inch wrist. It looks good, it's comfortable, the watch is very light, so it kind of disappears on your wrist. I do like the thin lugs. Yeah, it's a really nice looking watch on your wrist. Alright guys, so that was the full review of Tropical Sahara. timepiece from Undone watches. Thank you again, Undone watches, for sending this watch my way. I really appreciate it. A pretty good timepiece. $350 is up there, but if you like this design, if you like this dial, I think you won't be disappointed with the watch. By the way, today on my wrist I'm wearing a vintage Titoni watch. I did a full review of this watch. That video can be found on the channel. Appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.